perfect 11-0 record this season. Now, DEION's reportedly in talks with both Colorado and South Florida. However, according to college football insider Brett McMurphy, DEION's multiple academic and financial issues surrounding his failed Prime Prep Academy are definitely in the front of every school president's mind. Shannon, a lot of layers here. What are your thoughts, your reaction?
Jackson State has one of the highest graduation success rates, 90% in the SWAC, tied for Ole Miss and Mississippi State athletics for the highest in Mississippi.
Is that just football or athletics in general?
I guess we were talking about the football program because that's what he'll be responsible for, the football program.
All right.
You see how they keep moving the goalposts? Now, I wonder what's at the front of their mind when they hired Hugh Freeze, or they hired Bobby Petrino, or they had Lane Kiffin, who has issues everywhere he turns up at. That's not at the front of their mind, but now time is in line to get a job, get a promotion. Now that's at the front of everybody's mind. Now, when he got the job at Jackson State, that wasn't at the front of nobody's mind. Brett McMurphy ain't no source tell Brett McMurphy anything. Now all of a sudden, oh, you can go to a black college if you got some red flags. That's okay. HBCU, we don't care about that. But get in line to get some real paper, some real bread. Now all of a sudden, that's at the front of everybody's mind. That's the real issue. I thought winning was cured everything. You see how they do this, Skip? Right at time, they mentioned South Florida, they mentioned University of Colorado. Now all of a sudden, I know what a lot of presidents are thinking, but they never think about this when Lane Kiffin. Now he's in line to be reported that he might resign his job at Ole Miss and go right down the road to Auburn. Now he was at Tennessee. He's been a lot of different places.
Oh, he's been in a lot of different places.
None of that crossed president's mind. Bobby Petrino, none of that crossed. We don't know read what he did. It didn't cross not one president's mind. Hugh Freeze. All I know, he might have been in Magic City a time or two, Skip. Ain't crossed nobody. And he went down and got a job at Liberty. What is Liberty, Skip? But it ain't crossed nobody's mind. DEION. The failed Prime Prep and academic and financial. Really, people? See, he checks every box. Skip, 26 and 5 year and 3. Recruiting Florida. I believe he can go anywhere and recruit. Obviously, he's from Fort Myers. He knows the area.
Yep.
He flipped the #1 recruit, Travis Hunter. He was going to Florida State. He said, come down here with me. Now, he has an opportunity with the resources that these Power 5 schools have.
Yep.
Compared to an HBCU. He's going to be able to go into homes, and because he's assembled a great coaching staff at Jackson State. Great. Former Zim is on as an analyst. He has guys that not only played but coached in the National Football League. I believe he will get a job, and he should. But it's amazing. As soon as the man start to advance a little bit, hey, listen, shoot that dirt out there. Hey, Brett, check this out. Look at that right there. Brett, don't you got enough homeboys that's in the coaching profession that you ain't got to try to salt a brother up?
I hear you, but it's much bigger than Brett McMurphy. I want to be very clear because you know DEION on a level I don't, but I was around him a lot. I covered him, and I think I have a pretty good feel for him. He is the realest deal you can find.
Yes.
He is a rare human being on and off the football field. I believe he's a rare football coach, and this is just me. I believe he could coach professional football, even though he says, no, I don't want any part of that. But I'm just saying that's how rare he is.
Yeah.
This is just me, and I'm speaking straight from the bottom of my heart. If I owned a National Football League team right now, and I had an opening, I would go beg him to coach it. Because he would coach to me beyond what Jeff Saturday could do. And Jeff Saturday's so far so good. He's showing there's new life and pep in the step. And I got that. Listen, DEION,
right.
He would change your life. But as a recruiter, he could change any college's life.
Yeah.
And it still gets me a little bit in my gut that he's not going to stay at Jackson State because I love that.
Yes.
And I want to see them dominate to the point that they would start taking on the big schools,
right.
and let's see him schedule Ohio State or Michigan or Oklahoma or USC or whoever it is Alabama, let's see that.
Right.
Because that would be special. Ole Miss, let's see Jackson State versus Ole Miss.
Well, in order to do that, Skip, you got to recruit. You got to get the linemen, because I believe the skill position you could be able to compete.
Well, he's showing he can compete.
But you got to get O-line and D-line, because that's where it's won at in Power 5.
All right. So look, let's hit quickly on what happened at Prime Prep Academy. I know what happened. I've read all these reports. It became a financial disaster. It was mismanaged. It was a mess. But you know, and I know what happened. DEION didn't want to manage the school. That's not who he is or what he does.
He wanted to coach.
He wanted to lend his name to it, so it's called Prime, as in prime time. Prime Prep Academy.
Right.
And DEION was quoted as saying, we want to do good in the hood. We want to make some of these kids CEOs. And I believe with all his heart and soul, he intended for that to happen.
Right.
But he can't run the business part of it because it's not what he is.
Does.
And it went out of control behind the scenes. Off his radar.
Right.
He's just trying to coach the football team. So then he goes to a financial meeting and he gets into an altercation with the CFO, the chief financial officer. And I don't know, there's some pushing or shoving and the guy falls down. And the next thing I know, DEION has lost his job over this. And he was quoted as saying on WFA in Dallas, he said, Mr. Jefferson was the guy's name. He was not beat down. He was not beat up. He was not hit. He was none of that. Mr. Jefferson and I got into a confrontation about the welfare of these kids, and we'll get into another one. Until you start taking care of these kids, I'm going to be on a rampage. That's the guy I know right there. That's
everything to him.
Okay, they're everything to him. It's why you should be at his doorstep right now if you have a head coach opening. Even Auburn, I don't know. He would change life at Auburn.
But Skip, see, that's the guys they use.
Okay.
The most important thing is the kids until the coaches try to stand up for the kids, and then all of a sudden that's not the most important thing.
All right. So who do we have in charge at these universities? We have little people, to me, small-minded people who are afraid of the aura and the mystique and the presence of. Listen, Deion Sanders, one of the greatest players ever. He's by far the greatest cornerback ever.
Right.
To me, I've made this case before. I believe he was the greatest athlete to ever play. And I know Bo Jackson gets into this and we can go on and on. But Deion was an all-state basketball player in Fort Myers in Florida. And then you know what he did in baseball. I mean, he started in center field for the Yankees and the Braves and Cincinnati. And then he went to San Francisco. Okay. He was I'm not going to say he was a great baseball player, but it's hard to be a good one. And he was a good one.
Right.
And then we know what he did in your sport.
Right.
I think that's all intimidating for some of these little small-minded administrators in college football, where it wouldn't be intimidating on the pro football level.
No, but Skip, you understand, like these coaches, some of these coaches are bigger than the president. Nick Saban is bigger than anybody in the state of Alabama.
Okay.
Dabo Swinney is big. Deion Sanders goes to South Florida, Colorado, wherever he goes, he's going to be the biggest state institute, a worker in the state.
Okay. So to your point, just quickly, you brought up Hugh Freeze. So just for the record, over a 2.5-year period when he was the head coach at Ole Miss, he made at least 13 calls to escort services and got busted for that and lost his job. Okay.
They might have been Uber. Well, we know they might have been Uber drivers.
You could be right. And then Bobby Petrino, obviously, first he quit on the Falcons after 13 games. He just walked away, and he wound up at Arkansas, and he had an affair with his assistant, and he lost that job. Okay, over that.
And then did he pop back up at where? Louisville.
Yeah, he did. He went back to Louisville, and now he's at Missouri State now. Okay.
But
I got it. Hugh Freeze obviously is back at Liberty, and they've been pretty good here.
But Liberty is a
it's that. Yeah, I got it. I got it. And then you brought up Lane Kiffin. I know Lane. He is a mess to deal with. He's a good football coach, and he's a very good offensive football coach.
Excellent coordinator.
And we know he did some great things at Alabama when he had to revive his career.
Yes. But
he fell apart with Al Davis, and then he fell apart with Tennessee, and then he was at Florida Atlantic, and he's at Ole Miss, and now there's all this stuff. He's looking again for greener pastures. Okay, I got it.
He fell apart with Coach Saban.
Okay, he did. Okay, we get it. We get it. Fair points on your part. I just want to see, I would love for Deion to stay at Jackson State, but again, he deserves whatever job. They're all fools if they don't hire this man.
But they hire those guys, Skip. Why? Because they win. Lane Kiffin won. Bobby Petrino won.
He did.
Hugh Freeze has won. So now winning should be the overriding factor.
That is correct. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And indeed, Shannon, winning fixes everything. All right, as Skip already mentioned, we expect to see LeBron back on the court very soon, like in 2 days.